Welcome back, everybody.
Welcome back. I'm heading back because I left my elytra.
Video really quick on my other computer. Probably I recorded my stream, and it was 10 gigs. All right.
So you're still going, right?
Yeah. Things are good. Things are good.
So definitely the fish farm is the way to go.
The fish farm. Oh, right. So you made the. I forgot you made that.
Oh yeah, and
I saw earlier today you were playing Minecraft. It said in Discord, so I assumed you were AFK fishing.
yeah, I sat AFK fishing for about 2 or 3 hours, and came back and had filled up like multiple chests. So I just kept expanding it and let it go overnight. And I think it was just I let it go overnight and went to work today. And I don't think I was actually gaining anything because I think all the chests were filled up. But I gained levels. I'm sitting at 73 levels right now.
Wow. And so you put stuff in your offhands too, right?
Yes. So some things are repaired. I didn't have too much to put in my offhand because there wasn't too much left in the chest, and since I only had I put one thing in and was gone in doing things, and it is the 73 levels is after at one point I looked and I had 50 levels after the first run, and I combined a bunch of things to get down to 0 levels again, basically, or like 3 I think I had left, and I'm up to 73 again after that.
Wow.
So
okay.
it is pretty good. You'll have to when we go back to the other side. You'll have to see.
Yeah, I'm coming to see the
spoils we have.
The chest of things now.
I'm just gonna grab my elytra. And, oh man, when I died that one time, I didn't realize I lost all my fireworks. I gotta see if I have any more fireworks to.
Yeah, that's why I never use my elytra because I don't have any fireworks.
They're not hard to make. We just need the gunpowder.
I don't think we have any though, really. So in a way, they kind of are hard to make.
That's true. I mean, we've done a lot of creeper fighting at night.
Yeah, there probably is some gunpowder over here in all these chests. That I'm surprised there's not more reeds. To be honest, are you not loading that chunk? You think?
Oh, I should definitely be loading that chunk from where I was AFKing for multiple hours.
Jesus Christ, these chests.
Are you looking at them?
I'm looking at how many there are. I haven't actually looked in them yet. Okay, lots of bows and stuff. A lot of stuff probably is trash, right?
A lot of stuff probably is trash. After we logged off, I got enough levels. I needed the 30 levels to get the, what was it, Lure 2 is all it showed me on the fishing pole at the time.
Yeah.
It was like Lure 2, Luck of the Sea, the highest Luck of the Sea, and Unbreaking is what ended up being on that fishing pole.
Wow.
And yeah, you don't need a dispensing system. It just mends itself.
Well, yeah, I assume since you said you had 70 levels that you never...
Yeah, nope. It just once I put a mending book on it, and it was done from there.
I'm looking at Curse of Vanishing. I wonder what the hell that is. I'm looking at the stuff in the chest, and half of these picks have mending on them.
Too bad you can't take it off.
Yeah, it's a lot of things. But you could at least, combine these and put it on.
Well, I've actually got my sword. I forgot that there was like a top number of enchants you can do to it. So my sword and my bow that's not the bow, this bow, are like capped out without mending, which is fine. I just need to make sure I repair them. But they have so many high level enchants on them, it's ridiculous.
Oh man, look at all this wheat.
All the wheat.
It's all grown because you've been here AFK.
Oh, you already gave up on the on looking at the books and stuff. If you need anything,
no, I looked at all of it. Yeah.
So I came up with a plan.
Yeah.
Possibly. You know how we're concerned about the ocean. And not that this is the fastest plan in the world, but if we just put a border around where we need it done to, and then put Frostwalker on our boots. Can we just...
It doesn't work.
What do you mean?
It turns back into water when it melts.
When does it melt?
Right, really fast.
What? No.
Yeah, like when you walk on the water, it starts breaking behind you pretty fast.
No, you're lying.
No, I've been playing on the Banana Craft server.
Real? I thought Frostwalker kept it to ice forever.
No.
Oh. Well, then my plan's dead.
Okay. Sorry.
That's all I got. That's all I got for you. That was my plan. That was my whole discussion for the day. I was gonna go try to make sure I had diamonds to make some boots because I still don't have any boots, and then go test it out and see. But apparently, I don't need to anymore.
No. Mm-mm.
Well, now I'm sad.
Though I don't know what happens if you break the ice right away.
But I mean, that would be difficult to coordinate.
Yeah.
I was thinking you could run across, make one layer ice, chop out the layer, next layer. It's not still going to be super fast, but it's going to be faster than trying to get rid of water. It was my thought process on that.
I can see the logic.
Well, god damn it.
Sorry.
I feel like
Sad.
the wind is all out of my sails. I had this perfect plan. Everything was going to work out just fine, and now nothing. Now nothing. Have you ever had that experience before where you were so sure everything was going to go one way, and then when it didn't, you were just like in shock and awe at what you were supposed to do with yourself at that point?
Not like this, I don't think.
No, I mean in general. I'm asking like a legit question.
Oh Jesus, I just fucked that all up. Let's see. I can't think of a time. Do you have a time other than
I have the
Frostwalker?
I have two. Well, three if you count the Frostwalker. One one's more like sad, and the other one's like funny. So I'll start with the sad one because I would get into the funny one. One was when I was 22. I think I was. I had just graduated from college, or shortly before I graduated from college, and I had applied to go work at the CIA. I had already worked for the CIA when I was in college, so I had already been there for about 2 years, and stopped working there to finish up my degree back at home. I wanted to finish my co-op experience because it was a co-op job, but you still had to get like the high level security clearances for the co-op job. Like, it's really weird. You could be a summer intern for the CIA, but you only get secret security clearance. But if you are a co-op, they consider you a full-fledged employee, and you have to get top secret and crypto security clearances. So I'd already gone through the security clearance process, obtained security clearances, though it took me a long time to get the clearances, which is one of the reasons I don't believe in polygraphs and things like that anymore. I applied to work there full-time when I graduated, and I was going through the process again to reobtain all the clearances and everything, and I had gotten to that stage and already had they give you an acceptance letter, and it's contingent on the fact that you pass your security clearance tests and all that stuff. Mm-hmm. And I was basically waiting for the results of the security clearance test. I was pretty much packed up and ready to go. I just needed a start date, and I was moving out of Michigan back to, actually coincidentally, where I live now. I'm here for a completely different purpose at this point. And I was working at McDonald's as a manager, and it's what I did at the time because I didn't have a job. I was just waiting for a job to come through. And I remember my mom calling me when I was at work one night, and she said, "You got a letter from the CIA." And my heart immediately sank because I just said, "A letter or a big envelope?" And she goes, "No, just a standard letter." And I was like, oh dear God, because I knew exactly what it meant that I got a letter as opposed to the envelope, because the envelope, I'd done it before. You get an envelope when you pass because it has a big manila envelope because it has all your, stuff about the benefits and all that stuff in it. And I was like, oh my God. I was like, will you open it up for me right now? And she opened it up and she just goes, "Dear Jeff, oh my God, I'm so sorry." It's like all she said. And I was like, "Jeez," because it basically said, you have not been selected for, blah 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 position or whatever.
Right.
And I had literally put at that point all my eggs into that basket. That was a sure thing. I wasn't even applying for jobs anymore. I had already worked there. I wasn't worried about getting hired back there again. And I was just waiting for the day so I could start, looking for an apartment and all that stuff to move out to the Virginia, D.C. area and start my career after college.
So, and that was all because of your polygraph, right?
That was some part of the hiring process, which at that point after that was your polygraph and your psychological profile and your background investigation. I think are the three parts of that. And I think I actually found out what it was that held me out after a couple of years. I still had some contact with some people there who happened to know the reason that my particular file hadn't been chosen or whatever. And it was because of this is so weird to say. I got the job originally. I got clearances and stuff. I was 19 years old. And during all my polygraph and my psych eval and all that stuff, I was very honest with them. And granted, they didn't believe me for the first 6 polygraphs that I took for whatever reason. But answering the same way, for 7 times in a row, you start to, for some reason, pass, even though it's the exact same answers every time. One of the things was discussion, or was the question about if you ever copyright software. And I was very honest when I was 19 years old and told them yes. And they informed me how that was not appropriate to do and how I know that, but would, continue on with the, the process or whatever. And it turns out it didn't interfere with me getting hired. And then when I applied again, I was still very honest with them. And granted, I did a lot less pirating because, I think I've talked to you about this before, like the mental thought process of the poor student clause, which isn't a real one at all. It's just, the one that people use to justify like illegal things that they do like that. I didn't do nearly as much, but I was still very honest with them about, yes, there is some software I've still pirated or recently pirated or whatever. I don't even know what it was. It was like, I don't know if it was stupid games or what. Well, when I had originally gotten hired, it was prior to the full enactment of the Digital Millennium Copyright Act.
Mm-hmm.
So there was no completely legal precedent for it at the time. And I'm sure there was a legal precedent for it in general of, pirating software, but it had changed since I had originally gotten hired to when I was trying to get hired now, and made it an official crime in their eyes.
Oh.
And that's actually what stopped me from being able to work for the CIA again.
So I just ran another test of this thing.
Of what thing?
And I think we have to change it.
Which one? Oh, God.
The
killed here.
The wheat farm.
Oh, you did run a test. Why?
Well, the majority of things don't come down the water. They get hung on the wall.
You are correct about that. I'm seeing them hung up on the wall. Oh my God, they're disappearing in front of my eyes because it literally takes more than 5 minutes for it to go down. I'm trying to chase them down and they're all disappearing because they've been there for more than 5 minutes.
Like,
that is really,
it's a lot of seeds on the wall here.
There's a lot of seeds on the wall.
Yeah, I think if the walls were higher, this wouldn't happen.
Yeah, we could make the walls higher on it just so they could deflect everything back down.
Yeah, I think that's what we have to do.
So we don't have to change too much. I just saw one person who's complaining in my comments that we made this 3 wide and not 8 wide. And I just don't know how to make it 8 wide and have the water work appropriately.
Oh, everything just despawned in front of my face.
Isn't it amazing? Wow, that lightning almost just struck me.
Yeah, that was a lot of seeds I just picked up. So yeah, I think the majority of this just despawned on a wall, basically.
So we definitely have some adjustments to make, but I think we can get there.
Someone linked some kind of like slime method to get rid of the ocean.
A slime method?
Using slime blocks?
Oh, using the automated like flying machines that went
maybe.
up and down and back and forth. Yeah, I saw that. That's contingent on it being a flat-bottomed ocean, or at least flat. Like you'd have to do any manual work once there's stuff in the way in the ocean.
Right.
So I haven't looked at our ocean to know how hilly it is or whatnot. I mean, it could probably definitely get rid of the first, 50, 60, 70, 80 layers of water or whatever. It'd be a huge fucking build, though.
Right. Okay. Well.
I mean, I want to clear out all this land to get up to the ocean and know how much are we really...
We're almost there.
We're close. Yeah, we're close. We're not there yet.
So what was the second time? That was the sad one.
Oh, yeah. It's the second time. This is just stupid. God, why are you attacking me, spider? So, you ever take any weird tests in high school? I'm sure you took like standardized tests and, pre-ACTs or SATs or whatever the hell you take in North Carolina, and, all those standards, the MEP tests or whatever. Yeah. So we had another optional test that you could take, and it was a competition test. And it was interesting because it was a group test, and you had your team to take this test against all the other teams from the area, which would be like every school could have like one or two teams. I think you could have a JV and a varsity team, if I recall what it was, quote unquote. And it was really interesting because it had this dynamic to it where you were allowed to bring any materials you wanted to this test. Like, they give you a list of topics the week beforehand on what it could potentially be on, but they were very, very generalized topics. And you could bring as many books, as many papers, anything as you wanted, except for what they said was anything that had a keyboard. So you could have calculators and all. Like, it was more for QWERTY keyboard is kind of what the direction that they were going. It was like you could bring your calculators and all that stuff, but you could bring all these books. In my school, we performed in this competition multiple years, and I did it when I was a junior. And I don't know, maybe they didn't do it when I was a senior. I think I was a junior. Maybe I was a senior. I can't remember what team I was on when I participated in it. It was like the people in the calculus class were the ones who did it, but we still had two different teams, and one was the older students and one was the younger students. And we got the topics beforehand, and I remember distinctly one of the topics talking about, accident scene recreation, I think was one of the topics. And you can actually find information on there's ways to reconstruct accident scenes based on the length of skid marks that are left at the scene and this and that. So, we had printed out this, document that tells you how you can, recreate accident scenes, based on the length of the skid marks and understand how fast people were going, blah, 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 like all that stuff. I don't remember what some of the other topics were, but it was things like that. Mm-hmm. And so we get to the venue, and we bring like a bunch of books on like physics and calculus and anything that we thought we might need, and any of the information sheets that we printed out that we thought would be helpful. And I remember, for one, looking over, and there was a team that came with a TI-92. Do you remember what the TI-92s are?
I mean, I don't remember exactly the difference in the calculators now.
So the 92 was that big one that actually had a QWERTY keyboard on it.
Uh-huh.
And I remember like somebody on the other team that was from our school, they grabbed like one of the judges. I don't remember if they were called judges or whatever, but they were like, hey, they got a QWERTY keyboard. They're not allowed to have a QWERTY keyboard. Like, because we thought about bringing a 92, but we couldn't because of the QWERTY keyboard thing. And then the judges, of course, at that point clarified no, we meant a detached keyboard.
Oh,
so they were allowed to have their keyboard, and we weren't allowed to have it.
You could have brought a fucking Palm Pilot.
Well, yeah, you could have brought a lot more stuff of what was available for the technology at the time. But no matter what, you couldn't hook up to the internet. It was.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, you were still stuck with whatever you had at hand. The TI-92 just happened to do a lot more, stuff. And in theory, there was a lot more programs you could have. They were supposed to check the memories on the calculators to make sure you didn't have any programs that were giving you like an advantage or something. But of course, they never did. I don't think that ended up being like a big deal or problem anyway. But the test was broken down into 2 sections. And the first section was more of there's like 8 giant questions that you have to do, and they actually have right and wrong answers to them, but it's like very narrative based questions that ask you like 15 different like steps and answers that you have to have within them of each question. But there's, like I said, there's a legit right answer to these things. And then there's the second part, which is the more theoretical. We're going to give you these scenarios and see what type of thing you can come up with to solve this. There's not necessarily a right answer, but we're going to grade these based on, ingenuity of thinking, feasibility of working, and all this like weird stuff. The caveat was there was 35 teams, I think, competing. They only took the top 3 teams from the first round, and those are the only teams they would even grade the second part of.
Wow.
But everybody had to take it because they were grading the first part while you were doing the second part.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and it's not for a grade, it's like I said, it's a competition.
Right, it's like a fun competition sort of thing.
Well, and my team, we're going through, and at one point we start reading some of these questions that are on the first section, and we are like, what the fuck? Like, we have no business being in this competition right now, like looking at these questions. This is just fucked up. The only one I think anybody even had a clue on there was, like they said, there was an accident recreation, and somebody had brought, the documentation on how to do the accident recreation. So we said 2 people of our team of like 10 or 12 or whatever it was, you guys start working on this one that we actually have some like facts we can back this up on. And the other questions, we literally just divided ourselves into teams of 2 and randomly threw them out to each other because we all had no idea of any of it. And it was just like, sit for the next 2 hours, see if you can figure out anything you think they're trying to ask and anything we can possibly do, and just do your best. So we did that. We turn it in, and everybody just looks at each other and goes, we might as well just leave now. Like, this is pointless to be here. Nobody knew a thing of what they had just submitted. Like, it was all just pretty much, like, made up garbage of, the best way a student can make up garbage and turn it in.
Right.
So we start working on this second part, and this hypothetical part, I mean, it's even worse than the first part is. It is, the one that I ended up getting asked me to, literally was talking about a roller coaster, and then it wanted you to design a roller coaster harness for a roller coaster that did like 6 upside down loops and 3 like this, that, the other. How the fuck was I supposed to know how to design a roller coaster harness? Like, what am I even supposed to put on this? It's just a blank piece of paper. It's not even like, what were you, this, that, the other. You are drawing the harness,
right?
Giving dimensions, giving your calculations as to why you chose to do all these like things.
Right.
I don't have an idea of what I'm doing with my partner. So we just sat there and started writing out this narrative story. I remember it was something to do with little Susie on a seesaw at recess. My God. And we wrote this whole novel about this seesaw and how like there was a friend of Susie's like had gotten really upset with her, so she basically played on the seesaw with her, but then lifted her up as high as she could go and then jumped off of it so that she crashed into the ground, and how she got this head injury and had to get taken to the emergency department. And we went on about the like difficulty she had in the rehab process, like of course from like a 12th grader's perspective, not with like using medical terminology. And at the end mentioned that had there been a roller coaster harness secured to the seesaw, she might have been okay. Like that was what we turned in, because we had no idea what we were doing. One of the other teams was asked to like, one of the other questions was about creating a how do you make a trunk latch in a new and improved trunk release mechanism for a car? Is like was the whole question. And keep in mind, this was 1999, so it's not like there's. I don't even think Bluetooth technology existed at that time. Like very little wireless type technologies and all that stuff. And I don't remember what a handful of the other questions were, but we were my partner and I were laughing really hard when we were like writing our thing because I think it was more nervous laughter, like we were making the most ridiculous narrative and story that we could possibly come up with because we just didn't know what to do and we were kind of embarrassed and we kept trying to hint to our teammates that we had no idea what we were doing and that we were taking this thing completely off the rails, and they kept giving us the assurance that that was okay.
They probably thought you meant like, you're taking it off the rails, but you're still doing the assignment sort of thing.
Well, no, it turns out, and that's what we were afraid of the whole time. And then after we finally were done, the time was about up. We were like, look, guys, we're going to read this to you and explain to you exactly what we're doing. So we read our whole thing. They're cracking up because they think it's the funniest shit that they've ever heard, like to be turned in on a test because, I don't remember. Whatever we said, I know how I said it made it sound really morbid. We made it really like comical. So it was quite funny. I just don't remember what it was. And our friends, they were all just cracking up. And then somebody says, let me read to you what ours is. And I can't remember for the life of me what their question was. And they literally said, this is our question. This is the answer we have. And they read word for word the lyrics to California Dreamin'. Because that's all that they didn't have any idea how to do theirs either. So they just thought whatever song popped in their head, they wrote the lyrics to that song.
Jesus.
The people who had the mousetrap, or God, I just gave it away. The people who had the trunk one turned around and all they had was a drawing, and one of the guys was an artist, and it was literally mousetrap drawn on top of a car, and it was showing like the driver pulling on this lever that dropped this marble that like went down this little thing, and this man jumped. It was mousetrap drawn on top of a vehicle, and this is what we turned in, and we were just like, okay, like we all were just crazy on this because we had no idea what we were doing. Whatever. Let's just let this day end and let's get out of here. So as we're finishing up and everybody's turning in, it's like, okay, and then now it's time to announce all the teams and how, like, where they placed, and we'll, announce the top, 10 places or whatever. Keep in mind only the top 3 are going to move on, and we're just sitting there with our bags all packed and ready to go, and it's just like, the number 5 team is, blah, 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 like whoever it is. And they're all jumping up in their chairs and cheering because they're excited that they got something. Then it's the number 4 team and blah, blah, blah. And they do the same thing. But then it gets like to the more serious part, the number 3 team. And, it's whoever it is. And they're jumping up and cheering like crazy because, they at least get to move on to the next round or whatever. And the number 2 team, and it's whoever it is, and we're literally walking out the door, and they're like, and the number 1 team in the first round, Goodrich High School's seniors team, and we that was my team. That was my team, and we all just, the look on everybody at our table's face, just turned to what? The person who brought us there, like our teacher sponsor, jumped up because he didn't know any of this stuff. He didn't know what we did. He was so ecstatic because we were his team under his guidance and his leadership, and we were the number 1 team in the first round. So we're one of only 3 teams getting our second round graded to find out who the official winner of this, like, I don't even remember what the prize was. It might have been like a couple $100 dedicated like toward the school's like department of, mathematics or whatever it was.
Wow.
And
how the fuck did y'all end up first?
I have round? We have absolutely no idea. We literally, like, the look on our faces, it looked like you had killed our parents because we had that big of a shock and awe and scared factor. Because the other problem with it is, nobody read your second part unless you got the top 3. But if you were the top 3, not only was it graded, your answers went to your teacher, like your sponsor, so they could examine all of the like your thought processes and this, that, the other as well. And I'll tell you, we knew the exact day that those results were released to our sponsor. Because
was he upset?
No, He went from being very excited every day when we all walked into calculus class, because we all had calc class together. That was like how he was the one who led it from the people in this calc class. And one day we walked in the door and he literally said like something like, hello, gentlemen, or hello, ladies and gentlemen. And that was like all that he said. And we all looked at each other because we knew it was never spoken of again. Never spoken of ever again. We never heard what quote unquote place we ended up in, because we're almost positive that they threw out our submission like after that.
So our school had something like this too, but it was televised. Like it was on the local PBS or whatever.
Oh, so yeah, that's a quiz bowl. Right?
Quiz bowl?
Yeah, we had quiz.
I don't think it had a name.
Oh, we had
Maybe
the quiz bowl team. That was more like it was like a Jeopardy almost.
But they were like really fucking hard questions that no one knows.
Right, but it was like real answers to them. No hypotheticals.
Yeah,
it was
maybe
buzz
so.
in.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Okay.
We had that as well. I never participated in that because I had no. Whenever I watched Quiz Bowl, I had no idea what they were talking about half the time and those things. And our Quiz Bowl team did okay, but then they'd play these schools that just knew everything, and I don't know how you study for Quiz Bowl, because it's literally just like saying study everything. And
right.
Did you
be real smart? No, I wasn't that smart. No.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking about whenever you were talking about that. But I guess that was something different.
Yeah. No, this was a 1 day competition that happened once a year, and it was 30 teams versus each other, which never ever. And that's why I said it's the funnier one on the other direction, is because our hopes and dreams were set on the fact that we did not get first, second, or third place. Like, we based everything on the fact that we were pretty much last, and then we could just fuck around with everything else because we didn't have any idea what was happening next. But it didn't matter. And then the second it mattered was like, it's like, when you disappoint your parents, it's like, it's not even that they're mad at you, but they're disappointed, and that's even worse. That's what it was.
Hilarious. Man, I don't understand the fucking lighting down here. Like, it's so lit the fuck up.
Well, they might be dropping from up top because there's so many guys up top.
No, I'm talking about the plants popping off.
Oh.
Popping off. It's real annoying. But yeah, we're out of time.
All right, guys.
Thanks for watching, everybody.
Always try your hardest, even if you think you lost. That's the moral of the story.
Oh,
or have fun with it, whatever. See you later.
Yeah. Bye.